So interview 1. I don't know if we should watch it like start to finish and then talk about it, or just pause and unpause as we go. I don't know what people prefer. Let's just watch it start to finish and talk about it a little bit, and then we'll pause and unpause afterwards. We can just do both.
The date is October 18th, 2019.
Chunk Brogy!
Can you state your name for the record, sir?
Chase Brody.
Mr. Brody is a 5'8" white male, mid-30s. He was described as having appeared out of thin air by a passerby on the top level of a parking garage. Mr. Brody, can you tell us how you ended up at this location?
I have no idea. I mean, 1 second I was one place, and the next thing I know I'm somewhere else. Wait, what's going on?
Where am I?
You're safe, that's all you need to know. So you don't have any recollection of how you got here?
No, I have no idea.
Subject has no recollection of spatial transition.
Wait, excuse me? Subject?
Apologies. What do you remember, Mr. Brody?
I was in the
woods?
And then
I wasn't.
In the woods? What were you doing there?
His voice is like my voice!
Not important.
We will decide if it's important or not, Mr. Brody. What were you doing in the woods?
I was taking a walk, trying to clear my head.
Do you recognize this facility?
Well, I don't recognize you, but this building is familiar. It's like I've been here before.
Mr. Brody, I assure you that you've never been to this facility before. We have no records of you even stepping foot in this building.
No, it's not like that. There's an energy here that I've felt before, but it's probably just deja vu or something.
Have you experienced other instances of this?
Like what? What do you mean?
Like feelings like deja vu, like something's happened before.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, everybody has. It's just the mind playing tricks on you.
Have you had any other similar experiences, like seeing things that aren't there, strange objects appearing out of nowhere, losing track of time?
No. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Of course. Mr. Brody, have you ever heard of Alter 114209?
Shout out!
I have no idea what that is. Wait, what's going on? Why am I here?
You're here, Mr. Brody, because we deem it necessary. Note, indicators show subject is lying about knowledge of Alter 114209. Use of the Dr. Hopkins assessment might be needed going forward.
Wait, no, I'm not lying. I told you guys, I have no idea what that is.
Don't worry, Mr. Brody. We here at Iris will get to the bottom of this.
Get to the bottom of what? When can I go home?
We're afraid that's not possible right now.
You can't just keep me here.
Try to get some rest, Mr. Brody. Tomorrow will be a big day. This concludes our session.
How are you gonna rest in a room like this, huh? Oh, Chunk. Chunk Brogy. Yeah, I guess we can go through like piece by piece. So this, for anyone who doesn't know, this takes place right after the Chase short that I did years ago. If you haven't seen it before, it's just called Chase in all capital letters on my channel. So go watch that and it'll like tie into this. This is like directly after that because he talks about sudden spatial transition, how he arrived at the top level of a parking garage. Were some of these parts removed from the Anomaly found video? No. I mean, this is literally the file I uploaded to YouTube. I'm just playing it locally. It should be the exact same. You probably just misremembered it. VLC Media Player is the superior video player. On Windows these days, absolutely. Their regular player fucking sucks.
Recollection of how you got here.
No.
I actually should just pause as I'm going. Sorry, I've made an executive decision to go against exactly that because otherwise I'm going to go back through it and I won't want to watch it all again. Because I just have, my brain doesn't let me.
I have no idea.
Subject has no recollection of spatial transition.
Wait, excuse me? Subject?
Yeah, the spatial transition doesn't affect him, but the subject part, he's like, hold on a minute. What do you mean? But it's more to be like, that's how Iris would address somebody. You'll notice as well, as we go on, I get like more and more makeup to make me look incredibly tired.
Apologies. What do you remember, Mr. Brody?
I don't know why I like the way Aaron says that line. What do you remember, Mr. Brody? It's like, there's like a wave to it that I... whatever.
I was in the
woods.
And then
I wasn't. In the woods.
What were you doing there?
It's not important.
So the last time we saw Chase in the woods, right before he arrived at the parking garage, what was he doing? Drinking whiskey. He sure was. I don't know. You guys tell me. You tell me how much you're paying attention. The lore. Crying as usual. How fucking dare you? He's sad, okay? Visiting graves. Mourning. Grieving. Putting down stock photos on top of stones. All of the above is correct.
Decide if it's important or not, Mr. Brody. What were you doing in the woods?
I was taking a walk. Trying to clear my head.
Uh-oh.
Do you recognize this facility?
Well, I don't recognize you, but this building is familiar. It's like I've been here before.
Mr. Brody, I assure you that you've never been to this facility before. We have no records of you even stepping foot in this building.
No, it's not like that. There's an energy here that I've felt before, but it's probably just deja vu or something.
Have you experienced other instances of this?
So the whole like been there before, that's up to you guys. I'm not giving you an answer to that. But the deja vu line is my little like reference to the Matrix, because they talk about deja vu and that he sees like a black cat go by and he's like, deja vu. And they're like, excuse me? Like in the Matrix, deja vu doesn't happen. So in this world, in this universe, deja vu has an explanation. There's like a scientific logic to why that happens, but I'll never tell.
What? What do you mean?
Like feelings like deja vu, like something's happened before.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, everybody has. It's just the mind playing tricks on you.
Have you had any other similar experiences, like seeing things that aren't there, strange objects appearing out of nowhere, losing track of time?
No.
He's losing track of time right now. He doesn't even know what's going on.
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Of course. Mr. Brody, have you ever heard of Alter 114209?
Boom, baby. Also, I've seen a lot of people write it Alter, A-L-T-E-R. It's A-L-T-R. So it's an acronym. It actually means something. It's not just... It's just shorthand said Alter, because no one's going to be like, have you ever heard of ALTR 114209? So ALTR stands for something. In this universe. So if you're ever writing it again, technically it's that.
No. I have no idea what that is.
And as we later find out, Alter 114209 is anti.
Wait, what's going on? Why am I here?
You're here, Mr. Brody, because we deem it necessary. Note, indicators show subject is lying about knowledge of Alter 114209.
And that line is there again to... There's supposed to be like a clear delineation. We don't show Aaron's face in the first clip because you're supposed to be cut off from this character. You're supposed to like feel how cold he is, how distant he is, how he's not interfacing with Chase properly. He doesn't really see... He's not empathetic towards Chase, hence why he calls him subject again. Like, he apologizes for calling him subject the first time, and then he calls him subject again, and it's like, oh, you're clearly not listening to him, and we're not seeing his face. So it's not that there's like, oh, big reveal, it's Aaron Hansen. It's more got to do with making Chase the focal point in the first video, so you know what you're supposed to be paying attention to. And the Iris people clearly don't give a fuck about him.
Use of the Dr. Hopkins assessment might be needed going forward.
Wait, no, I'm not lying. I told you guys, I have no idea what that is.
Don't worry, Mr. Brody. We hear that.
And then we hear that there's a Hopkins assessment coming. Which I didn't realize. If you search for like the Dr. Hopkins assessment is a real thing apparently. But I made up the name myself. I didn't Google like something and find that and then be like, oh, that works perfectly for this. So if you find the Dr. Hopkins assessment online, it has no connection to this one. Dr. Hopkins is someone who worked at Iris who made an assessment for people who have had interaction with alters. So... I don't want people going out like making a theory being like, oh, it means this, because I have no idea what's in the actual Hopkins assessment. And there could be something in it that is like disrespectful or shouldn't be mentioned, or like talking to somebody about it that's gone through loss or something. Like I have no idea. So I don't want to connect those at all. And then have people go like, I can't believe Jack put that in his project. That's so fucked up. This is for like victims of XYZ. And I'm like, I have no idea. I literally have no idea what it is. I just Googled it and then saw that it was a thing and I was like, fuck. But it's already recorded here in this. And Dr. Hopkins is like a person in the Iris universe. And I'm like, I'm not changing it. But I do want to say it's not. It's a fall risk assessment. There, it makes sense. It's all connected, guys. No, it has no... it has no bearing on what's happening with this.
Can't just keep me here.
Try to get some rest, Mr. Brody. Tomorrow will be a big day. This concludes our session.
Bye! Spoiler alert, he didn't actually walk out the door. He just walked into the corner. And all of the sound effects are added after. That's how Foley works in the entertainment industry. I don't know if this is like ruining some of it. Is this like this? I mean, I guess you guys want to hear everything about it. And I'm just always fascinated by how these things are made. And every time I see people talk about how they made things, that sometimes is more interesting to me than the actual thing. So I'm just going to keep divulging as much as I want to, of course. Now we get to see him. Also, this fucking patch would not sit on him. Once you see it, you'll never be able to unsee it. It would not stay on his fucking jacket. And in between every sentence he said, I'd be like, can you tap down your thing? Thanks. And he'd always be like, fucking, and it would be fine. And he'd get a line out and then it would just come back and so annoying.
The date is October 19th, 2019, and we are interviewing Chase Brody again. Use of the Dr. Hopkins assessment has been approved. Good morning, Mr. Brody.
Is it?
Look how disheveled he is. He's been there for a whole day. He's pissed.
We're going to ask you a series of questions to determine your state of mind. Now, keep in mind we can detect if you're lying, so please try to answer truthfully. You okay with this, Mr. Brody?
So, they can detect when he's lying because if you've seen the Watcher video on YouTube, that's like... Their camera systems are that advanced that they're able to actually like sense when you're lying just through the camera. Because the whole narrative behind the cameras is that obviously Iris make a lot of stuff, one of them being that camera with certain antimatter technology. But I wanted it to be sort of like what would cameras in the future be like? Because we already have like Face ID on our phones that's able to like scan your face. And I'm like, how long is it going to be before we have deep fakes already where people scan faces for hours and hours and hours and can supplant it onto something else and it looks real? How long will it be before you're able to scan someone's face through every gamut of every emotion and then your phone is actually able to detect what emotion you're going through? And then the phone's going to be like, oh, it looks like you're sad. Do you need assistance? Like, it feels like a weird dystopia that is on its way to happening. Like, you look sad. Here, have some pills. Be happy. So that was kind of like that's where I was like extrapolating out the iris cameras, the watcher cam. So those cameras are able to like check Chase. And if you're able to detect like emotions, then why wouldn't you be able to just detect when someone's lying? And like they're able to detect heart rate. And I was even, that's a fun thing actually. Originally, all of this, like 1984, exactly. That sort of like Black Mirror-y, sort of like Big Brother's watching us sort of vibe, that dystopia. I'm just a fan of that kind of stuff in general. But originally, this whole shoot was going to take place from that one camera angle. So when you see it in interview 3, that camera angle from top down, the security cam, originally the whole project was written to take place from that perspective. So all of these interviews were going to take place from that one point of view and not change. And we were going to have stuff on screen that showed like Chase's heart rate beating. And when he got like uncomfortable about the assessment, the heart rate was going to go up and like go red. And when he said certain things, it was going to say that he's lying and telling the truth. And then people behind the scenes were going to be looking at it and being like, yeah, like a polygraph test. But when we got on set, I was like, well, that was also to kind of like cut corners, to be like, I don't know how this is actually going to look on cam. The room isn't right, so we can kind of like hide certain things that way. But when we saw this room and we were talking about it, me, Mark, and Ethan were like, we could do like reverse shot like this, like an actual production. And I was like, okay, I guess I got to like really act now because people are going to see my face. Because it was also kind of interesting to not be able to see Chase's face with the hat sort of blocking it. But I'm so glad we didn't do that, because this worked out so much better and is way more interesting, and having everything from one camera angle would have been way more boring for a gimmick of stuff going up and down. And because that's why we released the Watcher Cam video first, to be like, originally that Watcher Cam video was going to be in the stream, but it didn't fit in, because why would that video just show up out of nowhere? Maybe you guys hacked into the system and found this video somewhere. So we just scrapped that entire idea, and this was way more interesting to do it this way, and gave way more emotion and way more involved, and I think it paid off. And then it's more ambiguous what's lying and what's not, versus what Aaron says versus what the audience thinks is a lie, versus the back and forth and the Hopkins assessment. And making it more ambiguous makes it far, far, far better.
Do I have a choice?
Is your name Chase Brody?
Wait, shouldn't I be hooked up to like a bunch of wires or something?
I assure you,
like a polygraph
is quite capable. That won't be necessary.
So he thinks it should be a polygraph because he doesn't know that Iris's cameras are that advanced.
I will repeat the question. Is your name Chase Brody?
Yeah.
Are you 34 years old?
Yes.
Are you taking the Dr. Hopkins assessment right now?
Yeah, I guess.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how...
So in most like polygraph tests or lie detector tests, you need like controls. So you need to ask like obvious questions first, like, are you Chase Brody? Yes. And then it's like, oh, truth. And it like calibrates the system. So it's like to ease you into the test. But I feel like Iris wouldn't need that. But for you, the audience, it just gets you into the zone to be like, oh, it's like a lie detector test. Baselines, exactly. Is it a polygraph? Variograph test?
would you describe your current mental state?
Why do you need to know that?
Please just answer the questions.
I don't know. 4.
Have you ever felt an attack of fear or anxiety?
Yes, of course.
Do you feel safe?
Have you ever had an attack of fear or anxiety? Oh, there it is. Oh, brother. If Chase Brody was a sitcom. Looking good, Brogy.
4.
He could have said fuck. Let Chase
Have you ever
swear.
felt an attack of fear or anxiety?
Yes, of course.
Do you feel safe?
Right now? No.
Do you regret your decisions?
What?
Do you regret your decisions?
About what? You're gonna have to be more specific.
Do you know where you are?
And he doesn't get more specific. God, look at that handsome man. If only my hair looked that good. Oh, baby. But yeah, a lot of these questions are actual, like, legitimized questions from actual, like, various different tests all around. They're not all from one specific test, but some of them come from, like, there's, like, mood tests or, like, psychological evaluations. There's, like, I looked up a bunch of different tests for, like, different questions. And some of them are that, like, have you had a attack of fear or anxiety? And then I think one of the tests actually had the do you believe in God question. And I myself reacted to be like, that is a weird question to ask somebody in a examination like that. So that's why I put it in and had Chase react legit like the way I reacted in real life.
Somewhere in Iris.
Do you know why you're here?
No, I keep telling you guys, I have no idea.
Have you ever heard of Alter 114209?
No, I told you yesterday, I have no idea what that is.
What was the first time you came into contact with Alter 114209?
Are you even listening? How many times do I have to tell you, I have no idea what that is?
So they keep poking him on it. Almost like they know that he's been in contact with him. Basically, Iris are very technologically savvy, so they know a lot more than you think they do. Also, people are asking, why is it a different hat from the Chase short? I didn't have that hat with me in LA when I filmed Chase, and I also found it again recently in a box from when we moved. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, gotta use that one again and keep it this time. So, canonically, it's this hat all the time, okay? Shut up.
All right, moving on.
It's just a snapback.
How many pictures have been shown to you so far?
Pictures? None.
How many sounds have been played for you?
None.
Are you easily startled?
No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It depends on the situation.
What's the worst pain you've ever felt?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Do you believe in God?
Bit of a loaded question, don't you think?
Please just answer the question, Mr. Brody.
No. I mean, I used to, not anymore.
Do you believe in life after death?
Okay, no. This is ridiculous. No, I'm not doing this.
Ridiculous or not, please just try to answer the question truthfully. Do you believe in life after death?
No.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly?
No.
Have you ever lost someone close to you?
Okay, look, I've answered all your questions. I'm not doing this anymore.
We're not done with the assessment yet, Mr. Brody. Have you ever lost someone close to you?
I don't care if we're done with the assessment, okay? I'm not doing this.
Have you ever lost someone close to
Yes!
He Angie.
I lost the only two people that ever mattered to me.
Thank you, Mr. Brody. This concludes our assessment.
Wait, that's it? What was the point of all of that? When do I get some damn answers?
Chase is the audience right now. When do I get some damn answers? Huh? Mr. Septic? Come on, what does it mean? Yeah, moving on. I'm not addressing anything that just happened. Look, I'm going to give you answers to some things, but not everything, you know. That's also why that line is kind of in there for give us some damn answers, because you guys say that. Yeah, so this was originally going to be the entire project. This is how it was like written initially. I'm so glad we didn't do that.
Hello? Come on. Don't tell me you're giving me the silent treatment now. It was just getting fun.
So this whole thing is that he's been here for 3 days now, and Iris have come in at like the same time every day. So he's like, okay, X o'clock, they're going to come in again. And now he's sitting here and they didn't show up. So that's why he's like, where are you? What's happening?
So, what? Am I supposed to just sit here and talk to myself? Oh, Iris, you're so amazing. It's like only yesterday we used to talk. I miss you so much. It's probably just me, though, right? Should we see other people?
So sassy. Yeah, this kind of got lost in the filters and stuff. So a hatch opens and a ball comes rolling in, but you can see like these big long shadows of everything that I was a real big fan of on set. Like you can see the legs of the table, the chairs here, the camera. But because everything is like through a VHS filter and through a camera and through like this kind of tech, they just didn't really read as well on camera as they were supposed to. But they're there. You can see it when it's pointed out, though.
What do you want me to do with this? I'm not a dog. Do you do this for all your guests? Or am I just special?
So I love how Trey edited this one, and I love that effect of the camera moving, because the camera doesn't move ever. It's just that one static shot for the entire thing and doesn't move at all. But we recorded in like 6K or 4K even. So a little filmmaking stuff as well. You record way higher resolution than you want, because even though the stream wasn't 4K, you can record 4K, and then if you zoom in on certain sections, you don't lose any of the clarity. It's still really high res looking at 1080p. Because if you have a 1080p shot and you zoom in, it looks like garbage. You start getting pixelation, you start getting artifacts. So the camera zooming in and like moving and everything is all manually done by Trey, and all the sound effects and like the little like stop to make it look like it's actually on an axle was all done by him. And it worked out really, really well. I'm really happy with the way that was. It adds so much. Some of these glitches, by the way, are VLC Media Player, not the actual. So if you see ones that aren't in the video, it's because of that. It's not, oh, he has extra glitches now. Like that one. Yes, that was intentional, by the way. I didn't let the ball fall on my face by accident. That was one. I was lying on the bed and Mark was like, can you just do one where it hits you in the face? And I was like, oh yeah, that's fun. It kind of like adds a more human element to it where everything isn't perfect. So it was actually really hard to get it to hit me in the face because I kept throwing it up and I kept going back and hitting the wall. And then it would like bounce down. I was like, well, now I have to like get up and grab it. So having it actually like go up and come down and hit me in the face was harder to do than I thought it would be. I thought it would be so easy to fuck it up. I threw that ball so hard. I can throw a ball really hard, by the way. He's so done.
I know you're watching. Hello? Anybody? Hello? Anybody? Come on. I know you're watching me. The light's on. I'll break your camera. Oh no! Help! Help! Oh, I've hurt myself! Oh, help! Fuck. This is what you want, isn't it? Yeah, you guys watching. I know you're looking at me. You sick fucks.
Swore! Chase Brody swore! Mom told me that he was family friendly. He was just doing trick shots a minute ago. Imagine if Dude Perfect at one point just came out and was like, fuck!
Can you at least turn the lights off? How am I supposed to sleep? Can you turn off the lights? Thank you.
A lot of these ones weren't in the script either. We just played around on the day.
Come on, this isn't funny. I'm trying to sleep.
Oh, he pissed.
Hey! Look! When are you guys going to let me out of here? All right, it's starting to get really boring. I answered all of your questions. I told you everything I know. What more do you want from me? Hello? Is this some sort of sick joke?
Whispers.
No, not this again. No, please. Please go away. Please. Please leave me alone. Please go away. What do you want from me?
There's a line we've heard before. There's like a bit here. Yeah, everyone's like, for free? Chase feet? When you can hear like the whispers kicking in.
Hello?
Again, it's subtle. That also, there was like it misaligned slightly, but there's a thing, if you've ever seen the Addams Family movie, and you know how Morticia Addams always has a light on her face, or like a light right across her eyes. That's called like the Shatner light, or the Shatner something, like William Shatner from Star Trek. If you ever see him in certain shots, if you look up like the Shatner light, you'll see a light on his eyes to like increase intensity. So that's like our homage to that, like the Shatner light across Chase's face. It's like a little glow. It's very subtle. Actually, it's not subtle at all, but when you're watching something and you're not like thinking about it, it just adds this like element that you're not thinking about.
Is this some sort of sick joke?
And here, you see it a second ago, the shadows on the wall were moving.
No.
Like here, this is like the table leg, and it's like ever so slightly moving across as they like, sort of like to just visually symbolize that like something's like coming and like reaching for him, like the shadows are encroaching upon him.
Not this again. No, please. Please go away. Please. Please me alone.
Please me alone.
Please go away. What do you want from me?
And that's number 3. Now we're back to normal. Day 4. Oh, he pissed. He pissed. Irish didn't come back yesterday. Shit went wrong. Oh, he pissed. Chong Brogy.
The date is October 21st, 2019. We are interviewing Chase Brody once again.
Welcome back. I thought you guys forgot about me or something.
Mr. Brody has experienced elevated exposure levels since we last spoke. Levels in the room have also been increased.
Wait, what do you mean? I've just been sitting here. What have you guys exposed me to?
Mr. Brody, there are powers in this world that would seek to harm individuals such as yourself that we are trying to protect you from.
Bullshit! You think you're doing all of this to protect me?
He won't stop swearing. He's allowed to. He's been cooped up. Shit's been going wrong.
Believe me, Mr. Brody, we are. We're going to carry out the Hopkins assessment again.
Oh, great.
As before, please try to answer every question truthfully. Is your name Chase Brody?
Yep.
Are you 34 years old?
Uh-huh.
Are you taking the Dr. Hopkins assessment right?
Yeah. Just ask the questions.
Honest.
It's like doing the bass lines again, but this time he's like, I fucking, whatever, yeah, get it on with. Because he thinks it's just going to go the same way again, like they're going to ask the same questions.
Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest, how would you describe your current mental state?
Well, I'm pretty pissed off right now, so rock bottom. What was that?
Do you feel safe?
No.
So now we've like taken the camera off and like moved it around and made Aaron a bit more intimidating.
Are you enjoying your time here?
Yeah, no.
How does this image make you feel?
Very confused.
Do you know why you're here?
No, I keep asking you that.
Are you comfortable? Comfortable.
No.
Do you have any experience with Alter 114209?
No, I keep telling you, no.
When was the first time you came into contact with Alter 114209?
I haven't.
Do you know why you're here?
Wait, didn't you ask me that already?
Have you ever lost someone close to you?
Yes.
How many pictures have you been shown?
I don't know, 4?
How many sounds have you heard?
2.
Do you regret your decisions?
Yes.
Do you mean that?
What?
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly?
No, Yes.
Do you believe in life after death?
No.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly?
Stop.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly? Ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly?
Stop. Please, stop it.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly?
Stop asking me.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you?
Stop. Please, stop it.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence?
Stop!
Subject's exposure has increased to concerning levels. Suggest moving to second phase pending board permission.
What is this? What did you do to me? What did you do to me?
Nice. There's also some like hidden sounds throughout that. That I'm very curious which ones people pick up on and which ones people find. It's the same with like the whispers and stuff. I'm always curious what people are going to pick out of it. Yeah, I like this scene a lot. Oh, terrible occurrence. Oh, I've been impacted so significantly. There was yelling Mark. No, Mark doesn't appear or have any lines in this entire thing. All of that was Aaron. They just have very similar voices. All of the yelling was Aaron. We had him sit there and just say the line over and over and over and over again. And then I was like, okay, can you yell it? I was like, can you like cock your head a little bit and say it? Just to like have so much coverage that then you can just pile them all together and make a creepy thing like that. What's funny is that Aaron, he had a hard time saying that sentence over and over again. It's like when you say something often enough and it doesn't make sense anymore. So he was like, have you ever had a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly? Have you ever experienced a significant occurrence that has impacted you significantly? And I was like, terrible occurrence. To the point where he would like say significant occurrence that has impacted you significantly so often that I would just be like, terrible. That it sounded like I was telling him he was terrible at the line. And I was just like, terrible. Terrible. Like so nicely just being like, terrible. No, you're terrible. So he just he said it like 50 times. But it worked out. We got the effect that we wanted.
Stop. Please, stop it.
And people asking like, where are the images flashing? You can see them. They're like hidden in the flashes. That flash as well was just somebody like next to Aaron had a giant spotlight and was just like flicking it on and off. We had like beats in the script for when it would come on and off. And then I was like, okay, now let's just do it, but flick it on and off whenever you want. Whenever you feel like one should come in, just do it. And we would just flick it on and off constantly, back and forth. But it came out really well. Everything married together with like the editing and the sound design was really cool. This music in the background that Robin found. Robin edited this one. It's weird. I didn't intend it to happen this way, but Trey edited all the odd number interviews and Robin edited all the even number interviews. So like 2, 4, 6, 8, and then Trey did all the other ones. But it just happened that I like sent them out the videos to like split up the work, and then it was like, oh wait, you got even and you got odd. Weird.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you significantly?
Stop asking me.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence that has impacted you?
Stop, please, stop it.
Have you ever experienced a terrible occurrence?
Stop!
That as well, it was like we had lights like flashing all around us. We had like 2 people overhead with 2 lights, red and blue, going like this to add to the effect. And I was like, when I yell stop, like cut out those lights completely. And then Ethan was like with the camera like this. And I was like, when I yell stop, just like hold it as steady as you can. And then the whole scene just like cuts and gets very serene. I don't know. I'm a fan of that kind of like crescendo.
Subject's exposure has increased to concerning levels. Suggest moving to second phase pending board permission.
What is this? What did you do to me? What did you do to me?
Yeah, this sound. Curious if anyone knows what that is. Here we have the whispers again.
No, not this again. Wait, no, this is different.
So now it's like whispers, but it's not the same ones that like drove him mad earlier. Those +1 biceps though, yeah, Evelyn said the same thing. She was like, she saw the scene and she was like, hello! And I was like, what? Like, makes my arm look massive. Oh god, that's the fucking chonk right there. That's the chonk brogy. Yeah, Auntie comes in this room, Chase is gonna fucking deck him. Look how swole he is.
No, not this again.
What a himbo.
Wait, no, this is...
I love this sound effect.
Hello? Yeah, I hear you. Who are you? I'm Chase. Wait, where are you? How can I hear you? Help how?
So cool.
Can you get me out of here? Then why are you talking to me? Are you trapped here too? No, don't say that, no. If both of us work together, we can get out of here. What do you mean? How do you know that? You've seen him too? What does he want? Wait, I don't understand. What do you mean I'm special? No, please don't go. No, please, I need to know. Echo?
Shout out.
Are you there? Oh, come on, please, don't leave me alone here.
Yeah, so that's Echo. I'm not going to say who or what Echo is, obviously. That's still to be revealed. The Amazon Echo. But yeah, I love that those sounds, again, Trey did a great job on it. Because I was like, I want this to sound like... I can't remember my exact direction. But obviously, everyone knows how much I love like crazy sound design and cool sounds, and like I'm always just so disappointed when somebody has such a cool thing and visually looks great but audibly it sounds like shit. And I'm like, oh, you're so close. You could have made this sound so amazing and like crunchy and bassy and weird and ethereal. And that's kind of what I like to go for in my stuff. That like, because that's the thing. If something looks great, it looks great. And if the sound design services it, it's fine. Like, it doesn't really matter. And that's a lot of the time why people don't put more effort into it, because it's fine. It gets the job done. It's like FromSoft games. I adore FromSoft. They're my favorite developer. Bloodborne is my favorite game ever. But my God, their sound design sucks sometimes because it's just non-stop stock sound effects. And every time you hear one somewhere else, you're like, I can't not hear it now. So it's just a little bit of a bummer that they're not like perfectly curated. And then something like Demon Souls comes out, the remake, where Blue Point have an incredible audio team. And then their sound design is so crunchy and beefy and high quality that it just makes the others look a bit, they still have, their sound design services what they do very, very well. And the fact that they're using stock sound effects and they're still able to make it sound the way they do is still great. But that's what I mean. Just take like the little extra effort to make the sound good. And after this, everyone, like all of you guys were talking about the sound design. And I think when you do it well and you do it right and you get it right and you make something unique and weird and something that actually sticks out, then people talk about it as much as the visuals. So, I don't know. For me, it's like making something like this is 50-50 sound and visuals. That it shouldn't be like 90% visuals, 10% sound, And it's the same with like games. The reason I always point out good audio is because when it's done right, I want to like celebrate the people who have like taken the time and the effort to really like hone their craft and do it. So I'm very happy with the way the sound design came out. I'm not trying to get like all high and mighty and gatekeepy about sound, but it's important to me. I like good audio, and I studied it in college before I didn't. So I just think it's really important, and I wish more people I love Marvel movies, and they're such a big spectacle. But when you actually listen to their movies on like a really good like home theater, it doesn't sound that great. A lot of their sounds are like front heavy. So all the sound kind of sounds like it's coming from in front of you instead of like above and behind and to the side. And their sound effects are all like, they're fine. They service the movie, but none of them are like, there's no like sound that makes you like really like sit back and go, oh, like the Reaper sound in Mass Effect or the crab squids in Subnautica, the Mutos in Godzilla. Things like that. It's like it's something what are the seismic charges in Star Wars Episode 2? Or like one of the creatures in Terminator Salvation. Terminator Salvation is a crap movie, but that sound design is great. Dune, exactly. You'll hear my Dune-ness come out in this as we go. Tripods War of the Worlds, exactly. Thank you. Amazing.
Hello, Chase. How are you doing today?
Just peachy.
And we know you've been through a lot recently, Chase. We just want to help. Please, allow us to lighten the mood a little.
His whole the fuck is that? The elevator music. This is like an homage for me to Severance. If any of you have seen that. If you haven't, you really should. You'll see a lot of my influences as well. I love Severance. I love the look of it. And the way it sounds as well. But there's is it the break room? It's like go to the break room and like for some R&R. And then you go in and it's like the lady's like, your Audi likes sports. And it's like that creepy kind of like, you're being too nice to me now out of nowhere. And like that music is playing in the background and they like turn it up. And it's like really generic, like nature sounds. I'm like, this is what like Iris think will lighten the mood.
We're not a bad company, Chase. We know you think we're evil and want to cause you harm, but that couldn't be further from the truth.
And now he's softer. He's not calling him Mr. Brody anymore. He's calling him Chase instead. Because he's trying to like relate to him and be honest with him and see eye to eye and humanize him more. He's like staring at him now. There's no clipboard. He's not staring down, constantly writing. He's actually like locking eyes with him. The music is nice. We took the camera off the tripod and moved it around to give it a bit more of a human touch, so you know someone's like controlling it. It's not like rigid and stiff and sterile anymore. So this is kind of like the turning point to be like, exposure levels are rising, let's calm everything down again. It's all psychological. It's all like little tricks to like, if you're watching it, you know the tone is different, even if you don't know why. That there's all these like little tricks you can do with like filmmaking to get the audience like the place you need them to be without having to say it.
We want to stop the bad things from happening.
You guys sure have a funny way of showing it.
We would like to share some information with you about our company and why you're here.
Feels like an ad.
If you would allow us.
You're at Iris. Yeah, I think Camilla did a NordVPN one. It's like, could you imagine I just busted out a NordVPN ad in the middle of the stream yesterday from here? Chase just turns to camera. I ruined my whole franchise and lore just for that sweet NordVPN cache. He's like, you'll never be safe at Iris, but with NordVPN you can be. Do you have Anti chasing you down? Well, you can hide your IP address so he'll never find you. God, it writes itself. Let's go back.
You guys sure have a funny way of showing it.
We would like to share some information with you about our company and why you're here. If you would allow us.
So now he softens.
Okay.
Now he's not antagonistic, because now he might actually get answers that he's been hoping for.
2 years back, there was an incident in a small town in the north of England. An item was discovered that had a considerable influence over the people who lived there.
An item? What kind of item?
A small stone slab. It seemed harmless from the outside, but this item was affecting lives of everyone in this town. They had no idea, of course, but many of the residents there had talked about getting severe headaches that wouldn't go away, getting nosebleeds much more frequently than normal, and some started hearing voices.
Voices?
We're not entirely sure what these voices were saying, but they evidently had an impact on the people who experienced them. Many lost their minds, were completely unresponsive, while others, sadly, turned a darker path.
So now he's starting to hear like things that relate to him. Like we just heard him hear voices. So now he's like, wait, other people are experiencing this as well?
Why are you telling me this?
When Iris
God, it
found
keeps
many
glitching
lost
out.
their
Stop.
minds, were completely unresponsive, while others, sadly, turned a darker path.
Why are you telling me this?
When Iris found out what had been happening in this village, we sent out a team to negate the problem. The CNC identified the item and took it back here for containment.
So,
you see, Chase, Iris helped those people in that village. We saved them. We find items like those and we protect people from them. We're not here to harm you. We just want to help.
So, what? Are you telling me that I'm being affected by one of these items?
Unfortunately, we believe there is something far more sinister interfering with your life.
How much more sinister can this get?
What is affecting you is orders of magnitude more powerful than any of these items.
So what? You guys knew that this was happening, and you just sat there and did nothing.
We're just trying to get to the bottom of this, Chase. We know what you've been through.
No, you have no idea what I've been through.
You've been seeing things, correct? Hearing voices in your head? Have you seen a man alongside these visions?
How did you know that?
That, Chase, is Alter 114209. We've been tracking him for quite some time.
Name drop! I mean, I already did it earlier in the stream, but everyone figured that out. You'll also notice the sound for where later when he shows up and the feet come into frame is the same sound that he's like, you've been seeing someone, right? Or whatever he said. Like, when he mentioned it, the same sound effect happened, so you can connect the dots later. You guys have already seen this, so spoilies.
He won't leave me alone. He shows me such awful things. What I did.
We know what was taken from you, Chase. That you used to be a husband. A father.
Didn't kill them.
I'm sorry?
I didn't kill them.
The drama. The lore. The sadness. Oh, depression. Hello. Thank you. Everyone's been very kind about compliments about the acting, so I appreciate it very much. I tried very hard to make sure that it wasn't cringe. And, well, not just for people watching, but I was like, if I'm not cringing at the acting, that means that it's probably okay. And that scene specifically, I really had to like dig deep for, because that was like a really big moment where it's like the saddest part of the whole thing. I'm like, you really have to like sell these emotions if you want people to like really get on board with you and get into the story. And when I went to LA to film this stuff, I was like, I wrote the script, so I know the lines pretty well, but I would like sit down in my hotel room for like hours at night, like every night before leading up to this, just like reading out the lines. I would like read out Aaron's line and then like be like, yeah, I have no idea how I got there. And they were like, okay, that was right. And I go on to the next line. And trying to different methods to like learn the lines that way. And then the best method I found was to I like propped my iPad up and I recorded the whole script. So I sat down and I just hit record and I read out Aaron's lines, and then I read out I like left the gap for my line, and I would like read it in my head and then read Aaron's line again. So I did that for all of the interviews, and then I would just play it back and act out the scene with myself. So I was like, I was the interviewer and the interviewee at the same time. And I was like sitting there and I was like, okay, pretend the camera's up here and over here. And I was like, I had like a mirror wall in the hotel room, and I would like look across at that to be like, okay. Because getting over that cringe factor is like the biggest thing for me when it comes to acting. Like if you say the lines out loud enough times and you can see yourself doing it, then you're not worried about how it looks. You're not worried about how other people do it. Or you always hear about actors like practicing lines in a mirror. And I'm like, it's a really great method for me, because I like being able to see like the emotions and how they read, and especially the pacing of it. And then some of them I like rewrote the lines then and there. So I was like, the pacing's just off. Like actually hearing it out loud for the first time, start to finish, I was like, it's a bit too quick. So I would do it that way. And then getting to that scene with like the sad part at it, I was actually like acting it out in my hotel room and managed to make myself cry. And I was like, oh man, I gotta save that for the fucking shoot. I gotta keep my tears inside. I only have a certain amount of them. I can't let these little bad boys streak out across my face and dissolve. I gotta fucking keep that Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs guy where he sucks it back in his eye. Put that back in. Yeah, hit record now. Somebody get a camera. But I'm very glad that on the day we managed to get the shot we wanted, and it came across, and the emotion got sold. Because that was the biggest thing, is the vibe, the atmosphere, and the emotion we want to get across good for all of these scenes? Because then, if that's good, then your writing doesn't need to be like impeccable. It doesn't need to be like Shakespeare. I'm not fucking pulling Shakespeare out of my ass. I'm not a writer. But I can write good enough for this type of stuff. And I think as long as you're selling it well enough and you believe what you're saying, then the writing doesn't need to be like fucking expert level. I feel like anybody can get in and do it then and just play around, as long as you're like really living in it. But yes, I'm a writer, director, actor, technically cinematographer as well. Nah, it was very fun. I had a great time. This is like in my element. I like the craft of everything, and it was very fun. But that was interview 6? Yeah.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Brody. We need to take you somewhere more secure.
So, fun fact about this one, Aaron's not even in the room. Aaron wasn't even there. This was recorded on the first day. So interview 5 was recorded on the first day, the one where I was talking to Echo. That was the very first thing we shot. And then we didn't have Aaron until the 3rd day. So all the scenes with him were all done on that one day. And then the ones on the first day were like, okay, we'll get some of this stuff done. We had some like extracurricular stuff we had to get recorded as well. But then Aaron just came back on the 3rd day and just like stood in the room. So Mark was just off screen, like reading Aaron's line to me. So I had like something to react back to. Just so we could get the pacing right and the emotion right. And I mean, he was just saying like, we need to take you somewhere more secure, Mr. Brody. and I just had to go with it. But it was just to make sure we had the pacing down. And then we just got Aaron back on the 3rd day and had him stand in this room and just read from the script. Because it's also really important to get the same lines from the same room. Because reading it in a different room, you have to then make it sound like it's from this room. So you also record room noise. So the very last thing we did was just sit down for like a minute, 2 minutes, and just have the microphone in the room and everybody stays dead silent, and you just record the white noise of the room so that you can put it back in later into the shots. So you actually have room tone to be able to match everything. And then we put it in the game as well to make it seem like everything is like the same space. Because when the sound jumps around without that, you start to notice that it's different scenes, it's different rooms, it's different environments, it's a different building. Your brain just can pick up on that stuff really quickly. So again, it's all psychological.
More secure? Why? What happened?
Nothing, Mr. Brody. It's merely a precaution.
Okay, a precaution against what, though? What are you not telling me?
We do this a lot, Mr. Brody. We move people around to free up space. You don't want to be stuck in this tiny room forever, do you?
No, that's not true, is it? Something happened.
If you would just follow
as the alarm is blaring in the background.
Okay.
Wait,
Sound design.
What is it, Mr. Brody?
wait, we have to leave. I've been here before.
That's impossible, Mr. Brody.
No, you don't get it. I've been exactly here before. No, please, let me go.
Please calm
no, we
down.
have to leave.
Calm down,
Please,
Mr. Brody.
let
Everything's
me go.
good.
No, please,
Come along,
please,
Mr. Brody.
please, no. Let me go, please, no.
Damn, he wasn't happy about that. That being dragged off like that, we did it like 6 or 7 times just to make sure it was right. But there was one take like that where I surprised myself where that like, please! And I was like, I did not know that my voice could do that. So I was like, I'm just going to legit act like I'm being dragged off and like fighting for my fucking life. And that scream came out and I was like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that. That's cool. And I love that. I love the way it cuts. You can hear the giggle.
Please, no. Let me go, please, no.
Ugh, it's so creepy. Ugh. It's like I'm the one who did it, and even I'm watching it being like, I don't feel good about where he's gone. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. That came out really well. Also, there's a ton of audio hidden in that scene as well. That there's a lot of these scenes, like if you listen to it with headphones, you'll pick up way more than you will otherwise. Like good headphones as well will pick up even more again. So there's a lot of stuff that we like hid around the place for effect. Some of them are a bit more obvious, like a couple of the giggles. He's just a giggly. But yeah, it was very fun to do. Also, a little trick
Something happened.
that I don't think anyone
We will
noticed.
happily explain everything.
So these guys are 2 different guys than who were in the room after. So we had the security team on set for a day, and we only had Aaron on set for another day. So these guys weren't there the days Aaron was there. So these guys that dragged me out
Okay.
are not these guys. That's not like a time skip. That's not like a lore thing. That's just an editing trick because we didn't have the actors on the day. So this is actually Mark's assistant, Evan. And this is a stunt guy who was part of the team. So in the finale, the guy that falls across camera is this guy. Yeah, Evan got his 5 minutes. We also had a bunch of cafeteria shots that sadly we weren't able to work in time into the final stream. Maybe I'll post them for something somewhere. Well, we had cafeteria shots with scientists that you guys saw in the trailer that, again, we just didn't have time to put in. But Ethan's assistant Jocelyn was in that one. So everyone was helping out.
Wait.
But yeah, there's no bloopers because you post bloopers when things kind of like go wrong. But this was like so quick and the scenes were shorter and like I knew my lines. So like I wrote the thing and knew my lines, so I didn't flub any of them. So there's no like bloopers of me fucking up a line, really. I'm like maybe one or two. Or like a sound went off in the background. I was like, what's that? And then we just cut the cameras anyway because we were on such a tight schedule that we couldn't really like waste time and keep stuff rolling because we had to reset often.
Please! Please, no!
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 No! Ah! And then we're into the finale. And these guys are dead now. I fucking love how this transition came out. Very Matrixy. So this is that guard again. Oh, jeez. God, I love that whole finale. That is, chef's kiss. So these are some of the other guards. Okay, we're going to get deep on the intent behind a lot of the stream and what is actually happening here. So the whole thing I also wanted to be sort of a meta play on social media. So you know how in social media things happen and then the more people interact with something, it almost inevitably always goes bad. Like drama starts, people shit on each other, people yell at each other, people start going weird and fucking bad shit happens all the time. That's kind of what I wanted to do with this, was that like the people who are like chronically online all the time, and when something happens and there's drama happening and they get so involved in it, they just can't take their eyes away from it. They just have to get involved in it. They have to have an opinion. Everyone online always has to have an opinion about everything all the fucking time, when really it's like, maybe you should just stay silent and let things blow over for the majority of things. So for this, the whole idea of the stream was that you guys were interacting so heavily with it and you were getting so involved with it that you didn't realize that you were like driving things to happen. So by the end of it, we took all control away from you. So there's a reason that at the end we cycled through all the rooms and none of your commands worked anymore, because now it's supposed to be like a snowball effect that it's like gotten away from you. You were so heavily invested in this thing, like people get with social media and the internet in general, that now consequences can happen to things that you didn't intend, but it's too late to kind of take any of it back. Like people who cancel someone who could be innocent or any, like, that's a bit of a cringy way of saying it. But things like that, where it's like, maybe don't be so chronically online all the time, because bad things can happen, and get so heavily invested, like parasocially with things, because maybe somebody doesn't want that to happen and you don't know what that person is actually thinking. I think I saw it. Didn't something happen? Oh, I don't know the show or the actor, but somebody was outed as being bi. Somebody can give me the name. Heartstopper. Yeah. The actor, Kit Connors. Yeah. He was, trending yesterday, and people got, I don't know the whole story, so you're gonna have to look into it more, but that kind of, I was sensing some of that from that, where like people just get so heavily involved in other people's business that it's like, can't you just sit back and enjoy what's happening? Like when I make stuff, great, it's all fun, everybody can come here, we can hang out, we can all have fun, we can set up our boundaries and just get involved and have a great time all together. But when it starts coming into like, where does Jack live? What's his like relationship status? What is he really like behind the scenes? Like all of that stuff is like boundaries. Let's just enjoy the content. Let's entertain each other. Let's have fun and let that be that. So I wanted to kind of like have a sort of meta narrative going on with this, where we had a bot listening to all the chat commands to interface with the game. And then right before the finale happened, we turned the bot off. So everyone was still writing in chat, but it was too late. Whatever you did is now about to happen. And you just sat there and watched while this happened, as the anti-quote goes. So you just kind of sit back and you watch what's about to unfold, which is the finale. And this transition here is, so Anti's sort of like the symbolism for that. That's not what he is. I don't want people going away being like, Anti is social media incarnate. That's not what it is. This is like the really subtle underlining of everything that doesn't actually play into the narrative, but it's sort of like the theme that I was going for. So this is like Anti's way of like pulling you off the wall. So you've been an observer through the camera watching Chase this whole time. And now he pulls you off the wall through the lens down onto his level to be like, now watch what I'm about to do. So it's like him taking control as he always has. Like I said in the Chase short, that in the scene with Anti in the back of the car, he's looking at the camera. He's looking at you. He's not looking at Chase. So there's an element of it going on that, again, this is like stuff that isn't like, Anti's not going to show up at some point and be like, oh, social media is bad. Like that would just be fucking stupid. But it's just like, it's a fun little extra element that I wanted to do, that I thought if there's a way of like fitting a meta element into it, then why not? So it was also just a really fun idea to get a one-shot take. Because initially this was different on the day as well. And as we talked about it with the scene, to be like, could we actually manage this? Because we weren't intending to use this room at all for the shoot. And then we just managed, I wanted a hallway anyway for this scene. And then this hallway ended up being perfect for it. But that alcove that the camera goes in and around, we were like, oh man, we could get a really cool shot out of this if we do it all in one take. So they're like coming down here and this shot, oh. Initially we had him come across here more so you could see him more. And I was like, I was down the hallway waiting for the camera to like turn as Chase. And as I was looking at it, I was like, what if you guys turned that light and pointed it behind him and we don't really show him in frame, but we see his shadow. And the whole thing I wanted was to like, make it less messy for the audience. So like your eyes are just like staying in the same place and you're following sort of everything along. And you're just scanning left and right. You're not like, oh God, what am I supposed to be looking at? So to keep it more cohesive, I was like, the shadow will draw your attention across. So we're rounding this corner So you see him, and then your eye line drifts over to this, and then as he passes this, which just so happened to accidentally line up perfectly as like his third eye in the middle of his head, and I was like, oh, when I saw that shot, I was fucking came in my jeans. I was like, that's even more perfect, because I just wanted his shadow to come across so it connects your eye line around the corner. So it like does the work for you. So you follow that shadow across, and then you're like seeing this, and then he wipes frame. So it all like connects itself together, so your eyes just aren't like getting messy all over the place, and everything just like flows around that corner. And then obviously we hid an edit here because we couldn't do it all in one shot because of what was about to come next. So he wipes frame, a classic. And then the beans, the Tootsies come in. These stunt people were such fucking troopers as well. They sat there literally for like 2 hours. And we, like, every 5 minutes we were like, are you okay? Do you want water? Are you okay? Like, everybody good? Like, constantly checking in with them. And they were like, yeah, I'm comfy. And this lady was like bent around this corner because we had to get the camera in. But I don't... Do I have a picture of the rig? I'll have to look for it afterwards. But there's a rig that we had that the camera was in. So it was like a 2-tiered trolley that the camera was on the bottom layer and I was sitting on the top of it with 2 massive 2x4s coming out. So I was like sitting on top of this thing with my knees up like this. And then it was like, Ethan had to like call the pacing of it when he had the camera up. So he was like, okay, now feet. And I would just like lower my feet into frame. And he'd be like, and Sean, and I would like get off the 2x4s. So I was like sitting on something and then had to hop off of it. And I was like, I need to make this look smooth. Otherwise it's going to look like I hopped off something. So you can't even really tell. Because I just hit the ground. I was like, oh, beautiful. And it worked so well. And that's also the first time 2 egos have been in the same frame together. And then we have the iris cam here, warning. Just like it's always been watching. And now it's in the foreground. I love a good foreground. I love a good foreground going across a moving shot. Oh, that makes my nipples sing. And this whole reception was here. We filled in this, like all these, this was all empty. And I was like, just fill the foreground. Fill it with things. It's so nice. And then we had a monitor that we put in that has like, someone's been watching Chase's room. But this monitor was blank. And anytime, so if you have a moving shot like this that you need to track more elements into, you need like tracking markers. So you need something to, basically something to click on so that like Premiere or whatever can register like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be tracking and keeping everything like in frame. So it makes it easier that if we rotoscope Chase out to put him in between Auntie's legs, hey, yo! That you need something to be able to track so you can make your life a bit easier. Otherwise, you have to go frame by frame to do it. So this monitor actually had tracking markers on it that was just in the set. It was just lying there, and we were like, "Oh, perfect! We just needed to track onto this." So it made Robin's job easier for this. Again, Robin, excellent job on the finale, because this was the biggest shot of the entire thing. And then people were like, I teased out the footsteps and people were like, where did the footsteps start though? And now it's like, oh, he literally like floated into frame. And this was, I'll show you my reference for this because I was like, oh, that is, Then he's all scared. Look at those those puppies. Look at those grippers. And now this is, I said that I would show you my like homage to Dune. The sound design in Dune I fucking love. And especially the voice, as they call it, that the Bene Gesserit do, where they command you to do stuff. It's like a Jedi mind trick. I think it's actually where, I think George Lucas read Dune and made the Jedi after the Bene Gesserit in Dune. And I that was my favorite element of Dune when I read the book. And then hearing it in person, in IMAX, I was like, oh, that's even better than I thought, because it hits you in like the chest and it's so commanding. And if you hear it in Dolby Atmos, which I'm a sound geek, again, I have a Dolby Atmos theater in my home, which if you've ever heard that, you've heard of surround sound, which is like 7.1, which goes like around you, but Dolby Atmos is ceiling speakers. So you have stuff above you as well, like helicopters and planes and rain and all that kind of stuff. So if you ever see Dolby Atmos anywhere, it's that you hear sound in a sphere around you, like an atmosphere. It's called Atmos. So sounds can happen anywhere. And it really adds like a whole layer to stuff, because then you can blend speakers from the side to the ceiling and have like a sound between them and like in the middle of your head. And it's not just coming from those speakers. So sound design is just so cool. But when you listen to the voice from Dune in an Atmos setup properly, because IMAX doesn't do this. I have a lot to say about IMAX. I hate IMAX. But for Atmos, if you hear the voice that they use for the Bene Gesserit in that, you will hear like different voices in each part of the ceiling. And they said that their inspiration for it was that you hear the Bene Gesserit from like different generations talking through that one person. Like it's all the Bene Gesserit commanding you at once. And that's why it's so powerful. But when you hear it in a theater like that, you hear the different voices in different locations. So I said to Robin, like, think about that. And that's how Chase's voice should sound for this. So there's like a central like bass layer. If you listen to it on headphones, there's like voices panned left and right to just make his, I'm not saying that he has multiple people inside of him. I'm just saying to like layer his voice that way to make it a bit more menacing.
Hello, Chase.
So you can hear like multiple voices at once. And I did some like binaural recordings with my ASMR mic that I have for a lot of the whispers in this and for the anti-voice as well to kind of like add to it. Because the voice on set doesn't sound good because it's a big room and it's just like, hello, Chase. So you need to like layer that and thicken it. But that was like my sort of reference point for Robin to be like, it needs to be commanding and it needs to like fill your head. So like some of it is like in your head, some of it is out of your head, some of it is around you. He's everywhere basically. And that was like my inspiration for the sound design to it. And again, inspiration only goes so far and my direction can only go so far. But Robin and Trey fucking nailed it. It took a really long time. Like it's what, like 22 and a half minutes of content, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but there was a lot of work that had to go into each of these. Like even just moving the cameras around and glitching and different things showing up and the echo voice and things like that all took a considerable amount of time to do. And I'm very, very, very pleased with the way it ended up. Because it's basically as good as I wanted it to be. And the fact that I said all of the shoot should be from this angle and then we ended up doing this means that everything was just like 100% better than what I went in with expectations. So I don't have a bad thing to say at all about those filming days because it was all such a cool learning experience. I got to like dive into acting a bit more and take it more seriously. And we got to like, I could like hear the edits and see them all like coming to fruition in my brain and then getting to go home and like give it to Robin and Trey and be like, oh, can we do this and do that? It was so cool. I had a wonderful time making this project. And all it does is make me want to make more of them now. It was very, very fun. But I said,